Hi guys, how are we? I hope you're well. Konsokijo here. Inspire YG is my YouTube channel's name. Now YG means young generation. If it's your first time here, welcome. Thank you for popping in. If you are an avid follower of this page, or you just pop in and you have subscribed, thank you so much. I don't take it lightly that you pop in. It's 96 people. I appreciate it so much because you guys obviously keep me going, and you see value in what I share, and obviously I appreciate it. We must be like-minded. I want to believe so. How has your week been? I hope you've been well. I cannot complain. It's another week. We are still on lockdown in Sydney. I'm not sure whether things are getting better or they're not. It's just seems like every day we are having new something come up, and obviously it's good that people are getting tested, and for us to have the more cases we have, that means people are getting tested, so maybe we are headed somewhere. I'm just going to be positive. Hey, like I said, not here to talk about COVID. I said the news has got work to do, and they're doing that. That's a trend. So anyway, today I thought I'd talk about something that I attended the last couple of days. Now, I have to be honest, I did not manage to get through to the whole session, to the whole I wasn't there for the duration of the session, the entire forum, because I did not realize that Paris is 8 hours behind Australia. So technically, sometimes the sessions would meet me midnight. They will be halfway, and it's midnight here, and I have to sleep. So because of work the following day. But I'm talking about the Generation Equality Forum that was hosted by Paris. It started off on the Thursday. I think it was going from Thursday to 31st to the 2nd of July, if I'm not wrong, or 30th to the 2nd. Yeah, 30th to the 2nd it was. So I wanted to pop in because I thought, let me just share what I got from it and what I thought of the forum. Now, like I said, I'm always very interested. I am passionate about anything to do with social justice and any kind of justice. I'm a feminist myself, and I know that word has actually been misconstrued, abused, misunderstood. Like, there's just so much around the word feminism, and sometimes people have just associated it with a lot of negative connotations, which I don't think necessarily I don't think that's what it actually is. And I feel sometimes like feminism means different things to different people, and it mostly because of the context, but it's also based on how you learned about it, or what it is that what's the word I'm looking for, that resonates with you when you hear about feminism. I loved what President Macron talked about. I'm gonna be looking at my laptop, which is just here, just to see some of the points that I wrote down. But he talked about feminism is humanism. He called himself a feminist as well. And I don't know much about him. I just know obviously he's the president of France. But I think he's an incredible guy. Like, I think I loved how he spoke on that opening speech. And feminism is humanism, because to me, gender equality just means you as a man, whatever you want for yourself, you want it for a woman, right? I think it's that simple. You want to breathe, you might as well want a woman to breathe. You don't want nobody hitting your face, you don't have any business hitting a woman's face. You want some rights for education, you want to study, you want to do your diploma, your degree, your PhD, your master's. You might want that for a woman, for another woman, for a woman as well. It's pretty much what you want for yourself, want it for another person. They just happen to be from a different gender. And I don't know how that is normally so hard. Like, in my world, gender equality shouldn't even be a topic in 2021. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I just don't know, unless my world is different from the reality, which I think it is, unfortunately, but it doesn't make sense. Anyway, 3 people spoke and stood out for me, maybe 4. I loved everybody who spoke. I think most people came in there strong, and they had done their research and they knew what they were talking about anyway. But obviously, like I said, President Macron's initial or opening speech did resonate with me. I loved that. I also loved the executive director of the UN Women, from Zile. I hope I don't butcher her name, because I just love her. I love her, how beautiful she is, and just how she talks. But she talked about women make up a quarter in almost all tables of decision making. Like in parliamentary positions, women make up a quarter, or even less than a quarter, and this is globally. Women make up less than a quarter in managerial positions, in companies, in administration levels, in institutions. And she talked about this is not equality, which I definitely echo. I really believe that. And we actually do need 1/2 of women. And look, I just feel like for a country that would see itself as progressive, if you're having a population, and the population is made up of men and women, right? Now, let's assume in a given perfect world, obviously there's none, but let's assume there are 50% of men and then 50% of women. But then the men contribute more, or the men are the ones who are making more decisions. They're the ones at the tables of decision making. And then these other 50% is probably contributing less. How do you expect to get 100% of results when within this 2 you're only getting more from one? From 150%, if that makes sense. I mean, yeah. I mean, I loved what President Uhuru Kenyatta, Kenyan president, talked about. I mean, he gave these, I'll quote what he said. He said, Eastern and Southern African region violence against women has gone up over the past over the past 1 year. So this is statistics around the pandemic period. Over 50% think that gender-based violence is acceptable under certain circumstances. That was jaw-dropping, honestly. Under which circumstance do you think it's good to hit a woman? Under which circumstance do you think it's good to just kill someone or take someone's life? How can you take a life that you can't give? It escapes me. Anyway, 25% violence against women. There has been 25%. Oh, sorry about the train. There has been 25% violence against women globally. He gave statistics of Cameroon has had 35% increase in gender-based violence within the past 1 year. Central Africa has seen a spike of 69%. South Africa has seen 37%. This was now a shock for me. Kenya saw over 50% increase from the previous year. Alarming statistics, I have to say. I was quite in shock. And I mean, some couple of things that were spoken that I had not thought about this whole time we were in a pandemic. The fact that, most women are not always gearing towards the technology kind of sectors. Like the things that women do are more community based. And now when I think about it, look at even most of the courses that women do. And not to say that there are no women in ICT or in engineering or whatever, but when you look at the numbers, most women are in community based sectors or health-based sectors. It's not mostly ICT technology. But look what happened with the pandemic. We ended up gearing everything towards technology, and it's almost like now everything is online. But this is the area also where most women, especially in rural areas in any given country, they're not empowered technologically. So how then didn't I even think about how the pandemic would have affected the women, not even talking about the gender-based violence, because obviously sometimes when you look at, not to talk about anybody can go through gender-based violence, it doesn't matter, but when you look at the effects of the women in areas where they're not financially empowered, mentally empowered, physically empowered, these are the women who tend to be, who have actually been very disadvantaged by the pandemic. And I did not think about that initially, but there was also information like currently there's not a single country that can claim to have achieved gender equality. Not a single country. That, I mean, why? Why? And there was just a couple of other things that I took. So the Generation Equality Forum Paris concluded, obviously it concluded on Friday, on the 2nd, and obviously they launched the global 5-year action journey to accelerate gender equality by 2026. So we are hoping to see some sort of change in 2026. And I mean, I remember this one girl, young woman who spoke, and she made me tear up. Honestly, she made me so emotional. But she made everybody in that room stand up. I mean, she just said, if you are for girls empowerment, if you are for girls to be supported, like, just stand up. And I mean, her voice and how passionate she was about the cause that she's championing, it was so evident. I felt her through the screen. And I mean, I just feel like young people are, I mean, they're like looking at what has been happening in the past generation, and they're just tired. And when I say they, I'm part of them. We are tired. We are tired. I don't really think I should be talking about the effects of gender-based violence today. You as a man hitting your wife in front of your children, how do you think those children will not be affected? You find that if it's a woman, if you have a girl child, they'll grow up thinking that being hit is okay. So you're teaching your daughter to be okay with being abused. You're teaching your son to be okay to grow up to be an abuser. And it's like, you're also hitting a woman who is another father's child. It just is a vicious cycle. And I just don't know whether we should go back to the basis of parenting and just look at how we parent, and then it starts from there, or people should just embrace the idea of seeking therapy within marriage, or just seeking like a neutral person to talk about issues if couples cannot address them. But I just don't know. It just doesn't make any sense that in 2021 we're still talking about, like, and there's no country that has reached that level where they can actually say, hey, no, we don't have gender-based violence here. I have to say that 2 years ago I was the most shocked person to see the magnitude of gender-based violence in Australia. And I mean, it's like I was living in a bubble. You know how sometimes I have Australian friends who are very shocked when they say, oh, in Africa, so you have development in Africa. Where did you learn how to speak so good English? Because there's this perception with everything they've seen through the media that Africa is this rural place. But they don't understand the advancement and obviously the development of each country in Africa. Africa is a continent, so definitely it's development in each country. But you think that that's where the gender-based violence issues are. That's the only place. Until you come to the West and realize that this is something there is a commonality, that, you still have, the guy who just poured petrol in his ex-wife's car, all over his ex-wife's car, and killed the woman and their 3 kids. And it's like, I couldn't believe I was in Australia and this was happening here, because my perception growing up was you wouldn't have, like, I always thought women in this kind of countries, like in the West, they were totally empowered. I thought their law would protect them. And I mean, I thought like there would not be this kind of issues. And what I'm saying was that it was such a culture shock to me. That gets to show you that gender-based violence issue is not, doesn't even have to do with economic empowerment. Yes, it is part of it, because if you're empowered economically or financially, you could decide to move. But sometimes these things happen because, yes, you are empowered to leave, but do you have protection after you leave? So I just, I'm glad there's some positive things. Like, for example, they were talking about there's a 40 billion US dollars in investment that was confirmed at the closing of the forum, that will probably help in financing some of these widely known issues. We're still talking about female genital mutilation in 2021. We're still talking about young girls being married off in 2021, young girls having to leave school after they've faced FGM, girls still dying through FGM, through all those unhygienic practices. And I've always felt, are you trying to tell me the culture is stronger than constitution? Because in these communities where it happens, you have elders, you have educated, you have government in these areas, but these things still go on. And it's infuriating to know that this is the world we are living in. But I can tell there's some sort of hope somewhere. Oh, this train kills me. Kills me. I'm just glad that I choose to look at the positive side of things, and I'm just hopeful that we'll see some type of change. Let me know if you didn't follow or you didn't watch the forum. Please go online, just research Generation Equality Forum in Paris, and you're going to educate yourself and just know a couple of things that were discussed, and see how you can create a change by yourself. Like, just see, it will start with us individually creating the change from the small environment we're in, and it's those incremental changes that we all do as individuals that will create that monumental global change. I'm just passionate, as you can tell. Passionate about social justice. I don't know why we're still having discrimination against any minority groups or women, or we're still having ethnic cleansing, like what's happening in Ethiopia right now. It's these kind of issues, we shouldn't be thinking about them. We should be thinking about progress and how we can grow our continent, especially like our African continent, or just a global world. Guys, that's just me. I really want to talk about this, and say that I'm looking forward to a day that we will have peace in the world, and we'll have togetherness, and we'll have inclusivity, and children and women will feel safe. Because every time I hear there is war, who are the people who are fighting? And I mean, not to say that it's one-sided. Yes, gender-based violence can be the other way around, but when you look at statistics, obviously women and children are the most affected. Think about, we need men at the table as well. Obviously, for there to be a solution, you need both parties who are involved in the issues to actually come up with sustainable solutions. All right, thank you so much for watching. If you are interested in these kind of topics, or if you're having a forum where you're discussing these kind of things, please feel free to send me a link or invite me, and I'll be happy to join. Thank you so much for popping in. Please don't forget to subscribe, and see you in the next one. Bye.